I'm now joined by Kelly Sloan from Denver, Colorado. He is a public affairs and political communications consultant. Thanks very much for being with us. So let me ask you, what do you think is the impact of Putin's victory this time around?
Well, obviously, like everybody else has said, it was no surprise. Mr. Putin needed to stage this kind of pseudo landslide in order to bolster the illusion of popular support, not just for his perpetual regime, but for his war in Ukraine. So what was really interesting about what happened this weekend was the mass protests on Sunday, which kind of peeled back the layers of the onion on this, kind of uh, showed up what kind of a lie that this whole thing is, the rigged election, that he doesn't have this kind of popular support. And when he's going to the West now, he's going to the world and trying to say, look, I'm pursuing this war of aggression in Ukraine because we need to do it as Russians. My people are behind me. We need this. We know that's not true. And I think this, these flash mobs that you saw on Sunday kind of gave proof of that this is a very Pyrrhic victory for him. Now, will it change anything? Not to the current regime. He's going to continue on, use this as an excuse to show that, yes, I have this mandate. I have to carry on. The bigger concern is what's going to happen in the next few years. If he tries to push some of his revanchist aims in other parts of Eastern Europe, if he uses this to kind of bolster his an alliance with China and with Iran. I think what we're looking at is it's a Pyrrhic victory that is clearly not backed by the people, but he doesn't care, and that's a rather dangerous situation for the world to be facing right now.
You say it's not backed by the people, and there's been no shortage of criticism in the West about how this election has been stage managed, and you alluded to that. But there are a large number of Russians who do genuinely support Putin. What do you put that down to?
Fear, mostly. I mean, there was when you're not given a lot of options, as it was reported earlier, all of the other candidates were approved by the sitting government. The most popular opposition leader, of course, was murdered a few weeks back. When you're not given many options, who else are you going to vote for? And I think there is a large part of that. Does Mr. Putin have some popular support in the country? Yes, but it's not the type of overwhelming support that any Western leader would need to be able to pursue the kind of agenda, the kind of aggression, and the kind of Russia that Mr. Putin seems intent on pursuing.
If we look beyond this victory for a moment to the conflict in Ukraine, there are many in the West who believe that Putin is betting that Western support for Ukraine will eventually crumble and that Ukraine's government will be forced to negotiate a peace deal on Russia's terms. Is that what you believe?
Yes, and again, it's going to depend a lot on what happens with the American elections, and should Mr. Trump win the American election in November, if he's going to maintain this kind of isolationist, new isolationist populist stance, or if he's going to adopt a little more realistic foreign policy, which many of us hope he may. But there is going to be some fatigue among the West over long term. What Putin's trying to do is just buy more time. The more time Putin can buy, and let's face it, he's in a good position to do so. He's got more manpower. Still has more weapons that he can throw at Ukraine. The Ukrainians are kind of on borrowed time, and they need Western support. And unfortunately, Western attention span tends to be rather short, and a lot of that's going to depend on American support, which is, of course, farther away from the front line. Countries in Eastern Europe and in Central Europe are going to be a lot closer to. So it's a little more existential for them, but they're not going to be able to sustain this effort forever. And I think one thing Mr. Putin wants to do is run out the clock on Ukrainians.
All right. Appreciate your perspective, Kelly Sloan. Thanks for talking to us.